64. 64. And there's a man's coat hanging at the side of the car, and it looks like a woman in the back seat, but a man in a plaid shirt sitting looking out the co-pilot window. A mother or a grandmother on a porch. I don't know unless that would be anime. And maybe her son, Wiley, and Hobart Jr. I'm just hazarding a guess. I do not know. And this is 3 young men who went off to college together and joined the service. Hobart Jr.'s on the right. I do not know the 2 boys on the left. I suspect they're from Warren County, though. They went to the University of Tennessee to be engineers and joined the service. And 2 of them, Hobart Jr. broke his arm during boot camp and did not get to go on with the engineers. And the next group that came in were with the infantry, and they put him in the infantry. That's how he got in the infantry instead of the engineers. And that's the same 3 boys, only Hobart Jr.'s on the left this time. I suspect both of those others are from Warren County. This is 67, and it's a streetcar and a pretty building in the back with those same 3 soldiers probably walking down in front of it. That may be New York. Probably is with a streetcar. They went to a college in New York is where they took their basic, or they did something up there. Anyway, he was there and stationed in New York for a short time. Carrick Hall, civil engineering, and I believe we decided that was at UT, Carrick Hall at UT. That would be the engineering building that they went to school in when they first went. And here's the fat baby on the porch. I'm pretty sure that's Hobart Jr. It has to be. They took so many pictures of him.
What number is that?
That's 71. And 72 is the fat baby again.
Where were they living when they had Hobart Jr.?
They were living in a place called Birchfield, I think. Daddy was teaching school, and I think that must be in North Chattanooga. And she, during labor, because he was coming breech birth, they took her to Erlanger Hospital in Chattanooga, and he was actually born at Erlanger Hospital. But this probably is where they lived in Birchfield, is what I'm figuring, at any rate, what sounds logical. And another fat baby on the porch is 73. And the fat baby on the porch.
Yeah, they shot a lot of photos that day.
Yeah,
A lot of angles.
they don't shoot. People don't shoot that many photos of a fairly young baby unless it's their first one. Fat baby again. Okay, this one is Gladys. Daddy is to the left. I believe that's Buck and Nancy Lee and Gladys and me, I believe. And I first thought it was Rock Island, but evidently not. Fall Creek Falls might be the place that it was. Anyway, there's some water, but I don't believe it was in Florida. It's not at a beach because there's trees and so forth across the river. And that's my daddy, I think, holding my hands. And probably Gladys in the background. I don't know who that is.
What number is this?
Okay, this is 81, and I'm sitting on Gladys's back in that same water. Gladys worked for us at that time. She came when Florence was, when Mother had Florence, and lived in our home when we were first in McMinnville. We have a picture of Hobart Jr. and Thomas Earl and myself on the front steps of that same house. I don't remember the address, but at any rate, she lived with us there, and when her children came home from boarding schools, St. Andrews and St. Mary's, that were up at Mont Eagle, they came to our home too. So we were crowded in there quite a bit. And this is Gladys and somebody turning a somersault. Maybe Thomas Earl, it might be me, but he's got on pants, so I don't think that's me. I think that's Thomas Earl.
What number is this?
This is 83. And I think that's Thomas Earl and Florence with Gladys. Looks like Thomas Earl for sure, and there's a younger child, so that's probably Florence. And that's Uncle Tommy, my mother's youngest brother, acting a fool, which he often did. He came home from the service and stayed in Sparta and took care of Grandma and Grandpa and lived out on the farm, and was extremely well known in Sparta. They called him the man of many hats because he was a volunteer fireman, he was a volunteer this and a volunteer that, and so forth. He originally had wanted to be a doctor, and the World War II came along, and he was needed to take care of his daddy and mother, so he never got to go to school to be what he wanted to be. He later became a teacher and taught there in White County High School, I think it was. But he knew they wouldn't let him out of the service as soon as he finished his tour and the war was over, because he had been in charge of train loads of munitions that were buried over there. He was the only one who knew where they were, so he had to stay in and take a train back and dig them up and get them out of there. So that's why they would not let him out of the service. So he spent an inordinate amount of time in the service. Maybe that's one reason he acted so crazy. He's my favorite uncle. This looks like Hobart Jr. and myself poking around for crawdads under the rocks in a stream.
What number is this?
This is 86 coming up, and that's Thomas Earl in that same stream, I think. This is 87, and I should know that's Thomas Earl, the younger one, the little one on the right, and I should know who that guy is, the blonde with the big smile, but I don't. I can't put a name on him. And this is Hobart Jr. and myself and Thomas Earl sitting on the front steps of our first house that we lived in McMinnville. Thomas Earl obviously holding our dog in Halloween costume. He's got that dog's got on pajamas and a kerchief on his head. It looks like Thomas Earl's got some kind of a hat on the side of his head too. And this is Granddaddy Massey with two humongous fish. This is number 90. Not knowing fish too well, I have no idea what those were.